Hey, Anne, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Emily is out of camera shot, but she's being very attention seeking. When we were setting up, she bit me on my chest. It's really friggin' hurt.
Wow. I'm at a loss for words after that, so maybe I better not say anything. Maybe that's the
Yeah. Yeah,
um,
she likes to bite to get my attention. She has like needles in her mouth. Yeah.
ouch.
Yeah.
Well, I hope she doesn't leave a mark.
She hasn't
Uh,
so far.
okay, I see her creeping in. I know I got a big tail swipe right in the camera when you were doing something else. I don't know. She sneaks in. Okay, so welcome back, everybody. This is Ann Hawkins, the Director of Communications for the Film Noir Foundation. Um, Ann, do you want to introduce me?
Yes, this is Eddie Muller. He is the president of the Film Noir Foundation, and he is also a host on TCM of Noir Alley, which you guys should watch if you don't already. And yeah, and this is Ask Eddie, where we have people send in questions and we answer them on air. And if you'd like your question answered in a future episode, you just sign up for our newsletter and we solicit questions through that. And you just go to filmnoirfoundation.org or .com and you can, yeah, sign up there. And also, if you donate $20 or more to the foundation, when you do that, we do send you a link to the Noir City magazine, so you get the digital version for a year.
Fantastic. And I see Emily is she might be settling down, who knows, or plotting something, plotting an attack.
We'll see
Thank
what
you.
she does.
We'll see what she does. Thank you for that introduction, Anne. Although today I am most proud of being the producer and host of the Noir City Film Festival, which just had its first edition of 2026, was just concluded. Uh, it's all a blur to me, but we did 10 days in Oakland, California, and it was fabulous.
It was.
Incredible, really. I wrote a letter to everybody who was working on the staff and today and just said, probably because I did less than I've ever done at any festival before, it ran more smoothly than any festival before. Uh, it was absolutely great. It just seemed like the audience was so primed to get away from real life, just catastrophic stuff happening
Yeah.
while we're doing this festival. And it was just very interesting because normally you would think it would make people stay home and sulk, but man, it was just the opposite effect. They wanted to be out, they wanted to be socializing with other like-minded people who love the arts and like a good time. I just went it's interesting. I just went back to the theater just before I came home to do this. I went back to the theater because I had to ship back 3 of the prints that we showed. We did have some 35. Uh,
Yes.
and so I just shipped back prints of Hangover Square, The Wrong Man, and The Crimson Canary. And it there was a huge demonstration outside the theater because that's a real nexus point in Oakland and the Bay Area for demonstrations and such because of the intersections there and the
Yeah.
freeway on ramps and how the theater is just situated right there. And it was pretty inspiring to see all these people out in the street, protesting. We all know what the Nazification of the United States of America. So that was gratifying, and then it was fun to take the film cans to FedEx, and it created such a fuss when I went into the FedEx office, because people is that film? Are those actual film cans? It's like, yeah. So, um, yeah, pretty interesting. So, it's just letting people know that we've got 9 more of those festivals around the country coming up this year. And while I can't guarantee that they'll all be as absolutely fabulous as the Oakland one, because of the contribution that Nick Rossi
Yes.
made to this festival as the musical director, and all the live jazz we had, and Nick playing with various combinations, his combos, his quintets, Nick Rossi and the Swing Four, and Elizabeth Bougerol, who was Miss Noir City this year and on the poster, and she came out from New York and co-hosted with me on the opening weekend, and she was spectacular. She brought her trombonist J. Walter Hawks with her, and sang and introduced movies, and it was just spectacular. It was so great.
Yeah, and
you were on stage.
Yes, I was.
Yes, yes, we got you on stage so that people could actually see you in person. And you know, a lot of Ask Eddie fans. You get a lot of people around the country ask when you're going to show up at these festivals. So we'll have to work something out.
Yeah, and I just want to thank everybody that came up and said hello to me. I really appreciate when people do that, that knew me from the Ask Eddie thing. So that was very cool. And I also just wanted to say that I also really enjoyed Nick talking before the films about the music. I found that really interesting. It really added, I think, something really special, since everything was about musicians. And I also really enjoyed the Saturday matinee with I'm sorry, I can't remember his name. The author,
Stephen Smith.
Yeah, Stephen Smith's introductions with Alan are really interesting too.
Yes, we ran a little long. Those kind of pushed the evening shows behind a little bit, but I'm glad to hear it was gratifying.
Yeah. And I wanted to see Hangover Square again, and then that just kind of motivated me to do it. I stayed for the introduction of The Wrong Man, but I didn't stay for the film because I find that movie so stressful that I don't actually enjoy watching it.
Yeah, it is a lot of the films, even though they were downers, were inspiring in a way because of the fabulous music that we were focusing on. And The Wrong Man, I mean, we had Steve come up and do this because his new book on Hitchcock and Herman is so fantastic that I built this program in that was focusing. I mean, in Hangover Square, obviously it fit the theme perfectly because Laird Krieger plays a composer, and it was the theme was Face the Music, and but The Wrong Man we wanted to show just because it was a Hitchcock film with Bernard Herrmann, and Herrmann's score for that movie is so different and unexpected from his other Hitchcock scores. It's not North by Northwest or Vertigo. It's in a totally different key, really, and it's terrific. So yeah, there were some downers in the festival, but overall, people were just really, really excited to be there, and just really had a great time.
Yeah, because I hadn't seen Pete Kelly's Blues before, and I'm a Jack Webb fan, so I was very excited the first time I got to see it was there. And of course, that was his sort of dream project. If people don't know, he was very, very into jazz, and this is set in the 1920s and he plays a jazz musician. But I didn't realize how dark that film was going to be. I was not expecting that, especially Peggy Lee's story arc. Her performance was amazing. She was great in that.
She's great. And Ella Fitzgerald,
yeah.
She only has 2 scenes, but she is just, wow. She's just great in that film. And of course, as I said in the introduction, we all know why the Noir City fans are here. They want to see Lee Marvin play the clarinet.
Which was a little strange. Yeah. So I guess Martin Milner was in like 2 of the films this year. Is that right?
He was. It always amuses me because when I'm booking these things, I'm not really focusing on the supporting cast.
Yeah.
And it's always fun when you see people turn up in multiple movies. So, Martin Milner is the drummer in Jack Webb's, Pete Kelly's Big Seven in that movie. And then, of course, he's the guitarist in Sweet Smell of Success, playing with the Chico Hamilton. What is the Chico Hamilton Quintet, right? Yeah. I'm getting loopy after 10 days of this.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. But anyway, so I really encourage people when it comes to your town to go see Noir City this Noir City Festival, attend if it's in one of the cities that you're in or nearby. And I want everybody to go see Black Angel because it's one of my all-time
Yes,
favorite films.
Black Angel will probably play at all of them because it's the one I made sure was in there because it's of all the films I showed in this festival, it's probably the most traditional noir film.
Yeah.
And Dan Duryea does play the piano in it, and
Yeah.
you know there is a musical um, aspect to the film, but you know I color outside the lines a bit in this one with "Love Me or Leave Me" and "A Man Called Adam" and Pete Kelly's Blues, All Night Long. You know, films where the music is actually more vital than the noir aspect of it.
Yeah.
But people really, really dug it. And I got to tell you, I don't know. Were you there on Sunday? Did you go the last day?
No, I did not. I was working on some stuff for the foundation.
Cheers, Ann. Here's to a successful Noir City. The it was really sad. It was very emotional. I thought we did a little resurrection job on Altman's Kansas City because I thought it. I think Altman would have been very pleased to see this screening with Nick and his swing four playing a whole hour of Kansas City inspired jazz before the film, and then the film itself, which I thought played very, very well today, probably more so than when it was released in 1996, because so many of the themes in that film have come back, you know, and voter fraud and all kinds of stuff that plays a part in that movie. And after 9 days of jazz, the audience was really primed to go out on a high note. And Kansas City has some of the best jazz musicians in the world when it was made, playing the jazz musicians of an earlier era, and it was just spectacular. And then as a coda, we had Round Midnight with Dexter Gordon, and although it's it's not a film noir, it was just a perfect closer for this festival. Very elegiac, melancholy way to close out the festival, but it seemed perfectly right.
I love that word, by the way.
Elegiac.
Yeah, it's a great word.
Yeah, because you only use it when it's completely appropriate, and
Yeah.
and that is what that movie is. Okay, let's
Okay, let's
roll.
get going.
I haven't really had a chance to look at these questions, but I looked at the first few, and there's good stuff in here. So let's get to it.
And the first one is from our friend Joe from Suffolk County. On January 14th, the Parisian cinema Le Clef reopened after going out of business in 2018. According to the New York Times, it had been closed because it could not turn a profit. Thanks to donations and volunteerism, it is once again showing movies. I'm grateful that there are four not-for-profit cinemas in my home county. Are you optimistic about the not-for-profit model saving theater viewing? About what percentage of North City festivals are held in not-for-profit theaters?
That's a great question, Joe. Thanks. Yeah, I do think that model works, and it has been used all around the United States in more theaters than I could possibly name. And I can't off the top of my head think of how many of our venues are not for profit. I like the Redford Theater in Detroit is definitely a nonprofit. What happens is if the theater is a landmark and it starts to fall on hard times, these nonprofit foundations can be organized to rescue it. I mean, the Redford is a classic example because the guy who brought me there, John Monahan, who's a school teacher in Detroit, but he volunteers to save the Redford, and everyone who works there is a volunteer to keep the theater going and just keep it alive. And we see that in a lot of these venues, and sometimes it's a mix of things because, for example, in Los Angeles, Netflix bought the Egyptian Theater, and they obviously they're not a nonprofit. but they operate the theater on a for-profit basis. But they have an agreement with the American Cinematheque, which is a nonprofit, to act as the programmers and screen special events and things there. So it's a combination of both, which I think you'll see more of, like the Grand Lake, where we just did Noir City, is a for-profit venue, right? It's a first-run movie theater, but they give us the main auditorium for Noir City, which was kind of interesting because, you know, we kept Sinners from being reissued on that last Friday. Had to wait 3 days for us to leave the theater, but I don't think Ryan Coogler would mind. And you know, so it's a combination of things. There are ways to work this. Um, the dilemma is, well, for instance, I'm just going to blurt this out. For instance, it was weird that that model was certainly floated for the Castro Theater in San Francisco as a way for it to continue to thrive, and but they rejected it because I think the owners felt that non-profit meant you weren't going to make money.
Yeah.
Which is, get the memo. I mean, that's not what a nonprofit is. It just means you don't have to pay taxes on the money because, you know, you have a dispensation from the government with a 501c3 status. It's, you know, your mission is not to make a ton of money. Your mission is to provide something of value to the culture, and they're going to give you a tax break for your doing that, right? The Film Noir Foundation is a 501c3 foundation. We are not in existence to make money. We are in existence to raise money and spend it on missions of value to the culture. You know, we restore the films, and a 501c3 theater can exhibit the films. And you know, I don't even like the assumption that it's like some kind of survival mechanism. It's just a good way of doing business if you're in the arts. I mean, it makes good sense. So yeah, I do think the model is completely viable, and it is in use in many places as it is, right? And I think in other countries you would not see the need for that because the state sponsorship of the arts is stronger than it is in this country, and so we have to find other workarounds, and that's possible. So there you go. Okay, this is from Diane in Westchester, Pennsylvania. She says, at a recent Noir City festival, the programming director, that's usually me, so I'm curious how this is. The programming director chose to run a 35 millimeter version of The Prowler rather than the Film Noir Foundation restoration. The 35 millimeter was pretty rough and cut off bits of dialogue. I don't blame the programmer for wanting to show a 35 millimeter version. Just felt this particular one did not do justice to the film. While I appreciate seeing these fabulous movies in 35 millimeter, what is your opinion regarding running a rough 35 version or a restoration that includes all dialogue and complete scenes? Well, I think we know what my feeling about that is. If there's dialogue missing and the scenes aren't complete, I am against showing the film. But this is interesting, Diane, because this is actually two things you're talking about here. Number one, I cannot remember where this was. It may have been either in Detroit or in Phoenixville, which is Noir City, Philadelphia. I honestly, if you expect me to keep all the programs in my mind, I can't do it. I know it was last year's program, and we were showing The Prowler in honor of Evelyn Keyes because it was a women in film noir program to coincide with my book release, Dark City Dames. And I'm surprised that they didn't ask us for the 35 millimeter restoration, or the venue didn't know to go to UCLA to get that, and they went to the actual owner of the film, which is Ivy Films, which owns the Sam Spiegel, owns the rights to all the Sam Spiegel movies, and I believe they have one beat to hell print of that movie, and that's, I guess, what got shown, and which is disappointing. That's number one. The second thing about how do I feel about 35 versus digital is I have even, we started out, our mission was to preserve films in 35 millimeter. We've preserved films, we've preserved audiences, we've helped preserve movie houses. It's a little hard to preserve 35 millimeter projection. It's getting harder all the time in an economy where, I just ship films back via FedEx, and it's expensive, as opposed to just downloading a digital file, which has no cost attached to it whatsoever, right? If you have to spend hundreds of dollars to ship the film can around, and every time you do it, it diminishes the film a tiny bit. That's tough, and there were people who came up to me at this festival, and I love these guys, but they do start to wear on me when they say, why aren't you telling us what's 35 and what's digital? Because I'm not coming for anything digital. And it's like, well, okay. I don't want to come, and they always come 100 miles. I had to travel 100 miles to get here, and I don't want to watch a digital version of the film. Well, I'm going to tell you, if you think I'm going to find a good 35 millimeter print of Pete Kelly's Blues, guess again.
Yeah.
That is not happening, because if it's a studio owned film, they are going to restore it digitally at this point, because it's just so much easier for them. And it looked great.
It looked
Pete Kelly's
fantastic.
Blues
Yeah.
looked great, right up there on the screen. So there it's not like there was an option. I mean, I had to show the digital version of the film. Given my druthers, yeah, I wish we could show all 35 millimeter. We showed on the last Saturday, we showed that the Crimson Canary from 1945, and it was a pristine 35 millimeter print, and it looked great. Right, not a particularly great movie, but it has historical significance, and it was a crowd pleaser. The audience really liked it. But I tend to these days go with what's going to provide the best show, and it's interesting because one of the things these people who are the diehard purists of 35 millimeter, one thing that they don't understand is while they're going to sit there and squirm in their seat in ecstasy because they're watching a beautiful 35 millimeter print, or even if it's a bad one, they're like, oh, I love it. It's like listening to vinyl, oh, look at the donut holes up in the corner, and the this is so great. Oh, that's a beautiful emulsion scratch. Look at that. but we sell a lot of tickets to these shows. We had 600 people in the auditorium virtually every night, and I don't want them saying, this doesn't look very good. This looks a little soft, or the soundtrack isn't quite, so I will show the best possible version I can show. That's the answer to that question.
Excuse me. So this is from Ryan from Universal. On a recent Ask Eddie, Eddie discussed the planned sale of Warner Brothers to Netflix and how it relates to George Fettelstein and TCM.
George Fettelstein, yeah.
I was wondering if Eddie could expand on the acquisition and how it might affect Warner Brothers Restoration Department. Part of what funds studio restorations, including licensing and physical media, to revenue streams Netflix historically hasn't been interested in. If Netflix owned Warner Brothers, stopped licensing the films to TV, airlines, or other streamers, etc., and ceased releasing Warner Brothers films on Blu-ray DVD, might the studio stop restoring their catalog altogether? That's the first question.
Yeah. Well, you want me to answer that?
You answer that, and then we'll do this.
Okay. I mean, I don't have any particular inside information on this. I don't believe that will happen. To me, all these things work the same way. There are people inside these companies who care about the movies. The people who run the companies care about the money. And that's where that is at. So if you can convince them that there is money in the movies, it's okay. And the only way I can describe this, and again, I have no crystal ball. I actually work for I work essentially as an independent contractor for Warner Brothers. I am, of course, am following this whole thing with the sale. It it will affect me in some way, but I don't think it will affect me negatively. The people I know who work for all these companies, I interact with people who care. I am kept far away from the people who control everything. If you want me to draw the big picture for you, I will say this: my life right now, this is my metaphor. My life right now is like I am writing with all of my friends and associates who do the same thing I do, uh, in a big, beautiful limousine. We are in the back seat of this beautiful limousine, and there is a full bar. There's a jacuzzi in the back. I know this doesn't sound like me, but bear with the analogy. And we are cruising along, having the time of our lives, and nothing could possibly go wrong, and everything is great. That's what mostly my life feels like. And then you realize it's a driverless limousine. And that starts to unnerve you because these tech guys think driverless limousines will be great. And then you realize that the driverless limousine is programmed to go right over a cliff. And there's kind of nothing you can do about it. So I feel that way about everything, not just the sale of Warner Brothers to Netflix. I feel that way about the entire culture.
Yeah.
That if people do not come to their senses, the limousine is going over the cliff. Uh, just all of this is a zero sum game. All of the rampant merger mania and all this stuff. I mean, this has been going on since I began writing as a journalist, back in the early 1980s. Deregulation in the government and the merger mania and removing the guardrails, uh, just rampant, unbridled capitalism. The end result will be one man standing. Like, I own it all. And we've gotten a good look at what that looks like and who those people are. And it doesn't work. It won't work. That's going over the cliff. So what can I do about it? I don't know, but I'm going to keep doing what we do in the meantime, and hope that it's going to take the rest of my life before the limo goes over the cliff. That's the only thing I can do, right?
Okay, and to take it a step further, with the physical media infrastructure, authoring, replication, distribution, which is already struggling, be able to survive without Warner Brother releases. For instance, if replicators can't survive without Warner Brothers, would it have a snowball effect that leads to other studios and boutique labels uh, stop
Yeah.
releasing physical media too?
Would they stop releasing physical media as well? Um, I The upside of capitalism is that somebody can always step in to fill the void.
Yeah, and I would just say from my own experience, 'cause I buy from a lot of sort of more boutique labels because I have a pretty insane physical media collection, and they're very niche, and so I think it depends what you're looking for, right? Because definitely these different sort of labels specialize in different things, like
Yes.
I do a lot from like Arrow, and they do a lot of giallo films and stuff like that. So it depends, I guess, what you're collecting and if there's a solid market for it or not. Because there's definitely, I know, in the horror space, I mean, horror fans tend to collect. So I noticed that those things get released, even stuff that's been out
Right,
of print
right, right,
before,
right.
and they do a specialty, run of it or whatever. So I think it just depends. And I think Criterion obviously has done a good job with,
Yes, they
classic
have.
films and foreign films and things like that. So
Yes, they have. See, and Criterion was, Peter Becker built that company from the ground up and did a spectacular job. And it's just interesting that it was sold. It's not common knowledge that Criterion was sold to a white knight, who isn't going to change anything, but he's going to remove, the incredible financial pressures that Peter was operating under and just let him breathe, you know, get some money out of it, and it will continue on in the form that everybody loves, but Criterion is a niche. The channel isn't necessarily a niche service. The physical media is, because it's the most expensive physical media on the market, but that hasn't stopped it from succeeding because they know who their customers are. And this kind of goes back to what I was saying about the movie theaters earlier. You'll remember back in the, whenever it was, the 90s or whenever, that all the studios started putting out collections of film noir.
yeah,
Right, there was the Warner Archive collection, and Fox had a whole series of noir films. I mean, when I was just getting going, I kind of made my bones doing audio commentaries on a lot of this stuff, and then that all stopped, right? Because DVDs were like, whatever. And Columbia put out Columbia Noir and all that. But then when they stopped, the releases didn't cease. I mean, stuff I never thought I'd see released on physical media was released because companies stepped in to fill that void. Kino has just been a godsend, releasing all kinds of stuff that I never imagined would be on DVD. Like they released Chicago Deadline. Chicago Deadline was, for all intents and purposes, a completely missing film. And it was on our radar, and we were continuously looking for an original camera negative of Chicago Deadline in the hopes that we could rescue it in 35 millimeter. But what ended up happening was that Kino made a deal and got that film and scanned it and released it as a Blu-ray. And which begs the question, does that mean it's been rescued if it's on Blu-ray? Because and this is a question we have to now face at the Film Noir Foundation, is if it's commercially available digitally, is that a project that we want to undertake just to make a 35 millimeter print of it, because there's fewer and fewer ways we can screen that 35 millimeter print. I
right.
mean, if people have been watching closely for the past 5 or 6 years, they know that we're starting to restore things digital only, because it's the only possible way we can get our money out of it. Right. I mean, if we, all those Argentine films, if we had just restored them as 35 millimeter, right? El Vampiro Negro, we did a preservation print of that back in 2013 or something. But when it came time, when we found the original, the really good material, and it's like, wow, we can actually do a true restoration of this, the decision was to just do it digitally, because then we could release it to the widest possible audience. They didn't have to come to us in a movie theater.
Yeah.
We could just give them the film on Blu-ray. So, we ask that question every time now. And my feeling is, if it Ryan, if it does come to the worst case scenario where for whatever reason Netflix opts to shut off the Warner Brothers library, I guarantee you there's somebody out there who will step up and say, hey, I'll make a bid to keep those films in circulation, to keep them alive. So I do know a little bit of inside information that calms me down a little bit, but that I'm not at liberty to say. But when I speak of white knights, I have a belief that there is a white knight, in Hollywood, who who will do the right thing if necessary when the time comes. And
Okay.
that's all I'm at liberty to say.
Yeah.
Okay. John wants to know what are your top 3 neo-noirs of recent times? Okay. And I'm going to let you go first because
Oh God.
I saw this. Hang on one second. I saw this question and I made a note on this one because sometimes these are the toughest questions for me.
Yeah.
Is like name 3 or 4 of these things, and it's like, oh God, I'll completely forget what I wanted to say, and I wrote that note on a different piece of paper, and now I can't find it, so I'm gonna have to fake my way through this. Okay,
Um,
Anne, do you have any?
I mean, The Square, the Australian film, is
Well,
definitely
yeah,
on
that's
that.
pretty cool.
I adore that film. It's one of the truest noirs I've ever seen. I loved it because the opening scene, you're just like, oh my God, I know exactly where this is going to wind up. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in the, this is going to go sideways. There's no
Yep.
chance, and you're just sitting there just waiting for the other shoe to drop. So to me, that's probably like the truest noir I've seen in a really long time.
That's a really good film.
Yeah.
That's a good choice. Yeah. Any others?
Nothing's popping to mind. You do yours, and maybe something will pop into my head.
Okay, one of them is easy because it's my favorite film of the 21st century, which is Mulholland Drive, David Lynch's
Oh,
Mulholland
yeah,
Drive.
yeah,
Which Lynch films are like Hitchcock films in that people don't immediately describe them as noir or anything else. They're just Lynch. It's a Lynch film. It's a
yeah,
Hitchcock film. But to me, that is truly a film noir. It's almost, but it's just done in such a unique fashion that nobody relates it to classic film noir or anything. But to me, it's like the perfect extension of all of that because for a million reasons. I also love Zodiac, David Fincher's
oh, yeah,
Zodiac.
yeah,
Uh, that's really like I don't know how to describe that. It doesn't seem to me it's not in any way like a traditional noir film, and it's very unique in that it has 3 protagonists, which I thought was really cool. Right? I mean,
yeah,
Jake Gyllenhaal and Robert Downey and Mark Ruffalo are. It's like a relay race where they they pass their obsession off to the next protagonist to solve this crime, and of course it's close to me because I lived in San Francisco when Zodiac was on the loose, and I just thought, wow, that's about as good as you could do a story based on those crimes. I just really think that is a brilliantly made movie. Uh, I love Fabian Belinsky's El Ara
yes. Oh God,
Ricardo
yeah,
Darini.
yeah,
I absolutely love that film. That might be my other favorite film of the 21st century. Um, I got my fingers crossed. I told TCM that because our theme this year at the Classic Film Festival is the world comes to Hollywood, and it's all about people immigrating to Hollywood and making a valuable contribution. And I weirdly suggested, invite Ricardo Darin and show some of his movies because he has refused to come to Hollywood.
yeah,
Right. Because
yeah,
the only parts he could get were his drug dealers, and he said, I won't do it.
yeah.
Because
Good for
because
him.
I so admire him for that, but I would so love to introduce him and some of his movies to an American audience because he is my favorite contemporary actor,
Yeah.
and El Aura is just
Oh,
an amazing film.
yeah,
It's just I love those movies where you watch them and you say, how did they conceive of this? Like it's such an unusual story, a taxidermist who suffers from epileptic fits who gets involved in the robbery of a casino, and it's like but the whole film makes just perfect sense when you see it, and it's just brilliantly made.
Yeah, and sorry, I had to look something up because so there's a film, it's a Danish film called Loving Adults, which is on Netflix, and that is a great noir. Because it opens up with this
I should
woman.
have known that you would come back to the Danish films.
Yeah, and the two actors in it are very good actors. And the guy that, because it starts out basically with a man telling his daughter on her wedding day before she's about to get married this story, and he's a cop, and this is the case he worked on, and it's about a married couple. And at the opening, you see this guy like run his wife down, except that
I mean,
he
run his
actually ran
wife down verbally or run his wife down
in a
physically?
car. She's out
Oh,
running, he
gee.
runs her over and stuff. It's like, oh my god. And but the thing is, and then he goes home, and then she shows up because he hit someone completely different. So his
Holy cow.
wife is
What,
still
wait, hold on.
alive.
What is this called again?
Loving Adults.
Loving Adults.
It's really good. I don't want to give it, and that's like literally the beginning of the film. I
Okay.
mean, that's just like the start of it. But she's a great character,
Okay.
because
Okay.
she's
I'm going to look for
yeah.
that one.
Yeah,
All
that
right.
was
And
that
well,
was
you
really
keep
fun.
coming up with these things that we got to see. So,
And it's not a movie, but my favorite sort of noir thing in a long time is Better Call Saul. I'm going to throw that in there
oh
again.
yeah. I mean, why not?
Yeah.
I mean, you between the two of us, we would advocate for what's the I don't know. I mean, personally, I love Mulholland Drive, but I have no qualms saying that I think Breaking Bad is like the it. Here's the deal: I will call Breaking Bad the Great American Noir.
Yeah, I can see that
Right? It's the
absolutely.
Great
Yeah.
American Noir, and because Mulholland Drive is just like personally a thing that I relate to totally and just love every frame of it. Uh, but Breaking Bad to me is the great noir saga of America in this century. And Better Call Saul is even more enjoyable, but it's not as it doesn't fit that mold as perfectly as a high school English teacher becoming a drug kingpin. I mean, that's like, or a high school chemistry teacher becoming a drug kingpin.
Yeah, because
That's
Better
like,
Call Saul is more like The Burglar. You
yeah,
know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
That
yeah.
kind of noir where it's just really sort of low key and it's very sort of emotionally driven in the relationships and everything that drives it. It reminds me of that
And
kind
it's
of like
and
a
they're all about people pretending to be something they're not. The
yeah,
fact that Saul Goodman is not a Jewish attorney; he's an Irish guy faking his way through the whole thing. And it's just like small timers going for the big grift and all that
yeah.
stuff. It's like, yeah, that it's just those are fantastic shows. So there you go. I hope John, that was a satisfying answer to that question. All right.
So this one is well, do you want to do the lightning round first?
Okay, let's
Let's
do
do the
it.
lightning round.
And maybe
And
finally tonight I will be lightning fast in the lightning round instead
let's
of
I'm not
instead
gonna
of answering the lightning round just like I answer every question and going on forever.
and my apologies for this one. And this is kind of more for me, I think, but it's from Ron, and it's a little long, but it won't take long to answer. I've just reread Patricia Highsmith's book, The Talented Mr. Ripley, in the Library of America's anthology crime novels, American Noirs of the 1950s. In chapter 23, she writes Dickie's passport was in the lining of a suitcase in his closet. In chapter 29, the passport is found in Dickie's luggage, which Tom had earlier in chapter 21 deposited at American Express in Venice. Also, in chapter 30, Tom fears that all three murders would come out. Three murders? I believe the movie version has three murders, but not the book. Am I missing something, or did Highsmith get confused or make major plot changes while going through various drafts? The book
Oh
notes
my
indicates
God.
that she never revised the book, and the text is from the first edition. That is just the editor making a mistake. Who should have caught that,
That's
frankly.
weird. And I gotta
It's
say
just what
that,
what an editor does, right? And that was just missed. And no, there's not three murders. I mean,
well,
he
somebody,
fantasizes about
yeah,
murdering
yeah, yeah.
Marge, but he doesn't actually do it. And yes, they added the third murder in the
I
movie, but that was just I think they were trying to make Tom's
Who's the third
character
murderer in the movie?
tragic.
Because he
The
kills.
guy at the end, so he's sort of involved with this guy, but then this woman recognizes him from Italy. So at the end, he kills this guy he's having an affair with in order to protect his cover
Okay.
and stuff. And I think that it was tragic, but I don't like people adding emotional depth to Ripley because he doesn't have any.
He doesn't have any. He's not supposed to have any emotional depth. He's the soulless, hollow man. Yeah.
Exactly.
Um,
So yes, that those are just things that you lose track when you're writing of something, and then like I said, an editor usually catches that kind of thing.
somebody is reading very closely. That's kind of wild.
I'll be
But anyway,
honest, I never caught either of those
yeah.
mistakes.
And that's funny because that question was more elaborate than the lightning round. Like, like that was the longest question we've ever had in a lightning round.
Yeah, but it was a really simple answer, so I didn't
Yeah.
want to
Okay. Good.
yeah. Okay, and this is from George and Mary. One classic I enjoy is Pick Up on South Street. Is it due to come up on the TCM schedule soon?
I hope so. I mean, I've gotten a lot of requests to show that again. The film is now owned by Disney, and it's a
Okay.
little, with Disney, you're sensing a common thread in a lot of these questions and answers tonight.
Yeah.
It was much easier when films that were made by 20th Century Fox were owned by 20th Century Fox, but now they are owned by the Walt Disney Company. So it's a little, it's not as easy to work out deals with the Disney Company for a bunch of films for a long period of time. And so when those pop up, I would jump on that. I mean, I can request Pick Up on South Street, but it is really, really hard at TCM to make deals for like, one and two films that are outside a package deal. So I love that movie. I don't know if it's my favorite Sam Fuller movie, but it certainly, I think, would have to be considered his best noir film. So yeah, if I can, I will.
Okay, and here's some noir or nots. And this is from first one's from Benjamin, Shakespeare's Macbeth.
Well, it's all Shakespeare, right? We just showed All Night Long, which is Othello, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, I think Shakespeare wrote all the stories. So
Yeah.
so if you want to consider it that way, then fine. You know, um,
All
there
right.
you go.
So Joe on Long Island, Freebie and the Bean.
No, that's a cop comedy.
Okay. Eric, Days of Wine and Roses.
No, that's a drama. That's a you know that to me that's just a straight drama. That's not a noir film.
Julie asks, In This Our Life?
I haven't seen it, so I don't know.
I've seen it. It's a great film. But it's not really, it's more of a melodrama than a noir, but it's a really fun film and I do highly recommend it. And
Okay.
this is Richard New York, Midnight Lace, a film noir or a neo-film noir.
It's a woman in jeopardy film, and it has elements of film. I mean, it's I would say that if you think Gaslight is a film noir, then you have to think Midnight Lace is also a film noir because they're virtually, the same premise. I mean, uh, it's funny. I don't really like that film for some reason,
Yeah.
even though I love, Doris um, and it's written by Janet Green, who's a terrific writer who I just wrote a lot about in this essay that I just completed for a book project that's coming. Um, but it's a little too Ross Huntery to
Okay.
be noir. I mean,
Yeah.
he loved soapy melodrama,
Yeah.
and which worked with all those Douglas Sirk pictures that he produced,
Yeah.
but a little less so with that one. I just think that it it's entertaining to watch, but I don't think much of it as a film.
Okay. So, and Richard also want to know if you would show it on Noir Alley.
Probably not. Probably not. I might show it if I was showing Doris Day pictures,
Yeah.
you know, as a separate thing, but probably not.
And I just wanted to say really quick about Love Me or Leave Me with Doris Day that we screened at the festival.
Yeah.
That was a great film. But also, Doris had great arms. Did she play tennis or something? Because her arms are fantastic. I'm sorry, the
And
reason why I'm asking is most women's arms that time period weren't that muscular.
and Doris had great everything.
Oh God, yeah, she had a fantastic body. But
She
I just
had,
it's just usually
I'm
the
telling you, the
arms
best
on
body in
women.
Hollywood.
Oh God, she has a fantastic body, but I was just caught up by her arms because they're pretty really pretty muscular for a female movie star of that time.
I believe she did play tennis, but
Yeah.
I don't know what her secret was other than just being taking good care of herself and being physically fit. But I
Yeah,
know what you
yeah,
mean. Man, when she strikes some poses in that movie and you're just like, put it in marble. I mean, she
yeah.
is just so fabulous looking. Yeah, and I'm glad I just think that film is so. I am going to be showing that on TCM soon. I'm doing a whole Doris night. And Midnight Lace is not part of it, but I am doing a whole Doris night on TCM.
Oh, cool. Yeah, and I also wanted to say that it was very unnerving to see Cameron that young because I've just kind of seen him in like later films.
Oh, you mean
You know,
Cameron Mitchell?
Cameron Mitchell. Yeah,
Yeah,
I've used to seeing him much later films, so it was really startling to see him young. So, oh my God.
yeah. It's like it. Well, Sam Fuller's House of Bamboo. He's in that too.
Oh, it's
He's
right, right, right,
he's the
right.
guy who gets plugged in the Japanese bath, and
That's I forgot that was him. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, they all they all start somewhere, right? And he was young at that time, but I know what you mean because we know so many of these people in their older, when you're first introduced to them, they're much older, and then when you see them in the old movies, it's pretty amazing. Like seeing John Banner, right? Sergeant Schultz on Hogan's Hero, seeing him in the Argyle Secrets, it's like he doesn't look anything like Sergeant Schultz.
Or I still remember seeing Robert Taylor and Camille and I literally stopped that film 3 times when I was watching it because he was so pretty. I mean, beautiful. And I just like every once in a while I just stop the film and stare at him because I
Yeah.
just kind of see him older. And he was certainly handsome when he was older, but I mean, he was like gorgeous when he was
Well,
younger.
it's interesting. So many. Uh, it's funny how our parents were so concerned about when the hippies came around and when drugs, weed and whatever other various drugs became prevalent in the society. They were so alarmed and like, oh my God, this is going to be the end of civilization. And then when you watch these old movies and you see how booze aged these people so fast,
Yeah.
when you see a Robert Taylor or an Ida Lupino or somebody, you realize they probably had about 15 years, and then the wheels come off, from the drinking.
Yeah.
I mean, it it's shocking to realize that the breadth of some of those Hollywood careers was like the time from 2010 to today,
Yeah.
like those 15 years, like people we revere and idolize and call legends today, they had like 15-year careers before everything went to hell.
Yeah. And
And
I think
mostly it went to hell because they were just drinking all the time.
Yeah, and you really see the difference too with I think with the silent film actresses because they, you know, one because they didn't sunbathe, but also like if you look at like it's so funny in Gloria Swanson and Sunset Boulevard because she looks fantastic. Well, she was She's a vegetarian. She only drank green tea, never smoked, never drank alcohol, and she aged incredibly well. And then, with Barbara
Yeah,
Stan,
they
yeah,
had to make her up to look bad in
yeah,
Sunset Boulevard. She was only 50 years old when she made that movie.
yeah, yeah. And Barbara Stanwyck, when she did Thornbirds, they had to put her in age makeup as well
Yeah.
because Barbara wasn't really a
Yeah.
drinker.
She always looked great. She
Yeah,
always looked great.
she looked fantastic as she aged, definitely. Okay.
Yeah.
This is from Donna. Now that you're introducing noirs from the TCM mid-century modern house set, I think they should light you in a much more dramatic Noirish fashion. The bar in the background should be darkened and not such a flat standard lighting. At any rate, that's my 2 cents. Lighting, especially in noir, as you will agree, is everything. I can't be the only one who noticed it, can I? So have you had that remark from anybody else?
That's so interesting. Yeah, they've heard it from me. I mean, I've kind of said the same thing, but who was this comment from?
Donna.
Donna. Okay, Donna. I don't know if I know you, Donna, or if yeah, I know several Donnas, but I don't know if this is one of them. But um, interesting observation. When I started doing Noir Alley, if you go to YouTube and look by date, if you go back to 2017 and look at those early ones, the set was it was a noir set. It was dark. There was smoke. There were crane shots. All of that. Then the network was bought by AT&T, and budget concerns came into play, and multi-camera setups were out. The cranes were gone. Um, and I think the set in Oakland, the Bar 355
Yeah.
set, is ideal. I just think it looks fabulous. It's like noir in color. The set in Atlanta is a shared set,
Yeah.
and I all I can say is we have to do when I go to Atlanta, I record so many intros and outros at a time, and not just for Noir Alley, for other stuff as well, that I think they decide upon like a mid-range lighting scheme, one size fits all.
Yeah.
That works for everything because time is of the essence. And you know that's what that's about. My concern with that was when we first started doing that, it was very and I don't know when Donna sent this email, because we have made adjustments. uh I don't like a flat set. I don't like when there's no depth of field. So it's important to have a foreground, a midground, and a background in a shot. So that's what I think. So it was important to turn the cameras around in that Atlanta set so that you could see some depth, that there was something behind me, there's a living area and all this other stuff. But I have to tell you, it's not a very big set. So it's an illusion in some ways. But I don't like feeling like I'm standing in front of a wall.
Yeah.
I like feeling like I'm at a bar and there's something else going on in the background, which is why that Bar 355 set looks so great. Aside from the fact that it's like a natural habitat for me, it just looks great. So thank you for noticing, Donna, and thank you for caring.
Okay, and this is Michael from Post Falls, Idaho. I recently watched the 1954 noir Make Haste to Live and was struck by how similar it was to The Reckless Moment, which you showed at Noir City. Both feature female leads having to do things she normally wouldn't do in order to protect her family situation. Though Reckless is a superior film, Make Haste is definitely watchable, especially with the performances of Dorothy McGuire and the reliably nasty Stephen McNally. Would Eddie ever consider pairing the two during a future Noir City?
Interesting. That's a really good observation. It had not occurred to me. I find I find it's a little tricky to pair movies that are similar. That's an exercise for movie fans to enjoy. It's less enjoyable for a movie audience because at a certain point they'll feel like, didn't I just see this story?
Right.
Because you have to remember, when you're getting 500 people in a movie theater, those aren't 500 diehard cinephiles watching these movies. I mean, there's maybe 40 or 50 of those people, and 350 or 400 people who are like, I'm going out to see a double bill. I don't think they want to see the same movie twice,
Right.
or even something that approximates the same movie twice. So I tend to make double bills out of thematic connections, or maybe two films by the same director, or two different films starring the same actor. But I will rarely book two films that are basically telling the same kind of story, because I think that's interesting to consider and talk about and analyze, but it's not a good night's entertainment. I mean, if you were sitting at home, you wouldn't watch the same story back to back, you know? So you definitely don't want to do it in a movie theater.
Okay. Great. That's the end of our speed round.
Okay, and that was,
That
can't say it was
better.
speedy, but those were definitely not yes or no questions. So
no, well, we don't have a lot of yes or no questions.
Yeah,
So I
okay,
tried to get the ones that I knew were kind of short answers, even if the questions were long. So, and this is Ken from Oklahoma. Film noirs are not known for being comedies, but which ones would both of you consider to have the most deliberate use of comedic elements to lighten the tone?
His Kind of Woman. His Kind of Woman.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
that's the one that could have been just a straight noir film.
Yeah.
But it becomes uproariously funny because of the way it's handled and because of Vincent Price.
Yeah, oh, Vincent's great in that. Yeah. And I would say actually it's kind of weird. It's not so much, it doesn't really lighten the mood, but I think the Maltese Falcon is hilarious. I mean, there are so many times, no matter how many times I see that film, I just laugh at some of the dialogue. What do you want me what do you want me to do? Learn to stutter? It's like seriously like, one of my all-time favorite lines. And you know what I mean? It's just, or also just the whole, Peter Lorre's whole breakdown scene at the end.
It is. I mean, it has a lot of wit and humor in it. And, sometimes it bugs me when I'm at Noir City, when I'm showing these movies and people are enjoying them. And it doesn't really bother me. Look, I've seen these films enough to know where they're going for intentional laughs.
Yeah.
And where the audience is kind of laughing at something that's an anachronism or something.
Yeah.
And like, I don't understand why the hardcore people who love film noir and take it very seriously, why they sometimes have a problem understanding that the people who made these films did have a sense of humor very often, and they were building things into the movie that were meant to be funny. I mean, let's face it, look at a film like This Gun for Hire. Graham Greene's book is deadly serious. That is a deadly serious book. There isn't a speck of humor in it. But if Paramount's going to make it in 1942, they're going to throw all this stuff in it that, like, they don't, that's the way Hollywood did it. We're going to put a musical number in. We're going to put some comedy relief in. We're going to throw in a little tiny bit of slapstick here and there. I mean, it was just, that's how it worked, So to think that the audience is ignorant and stupid, and why are they laughing at this? It's like, because it's a movie, I guess.
Well, and I think too,
and
like,
also, one other observation I want to make. I think people sometimes don't understand how movie audiences work. If you're used to watching a movie by yourself or with a very, very small group of people, it's different when you watch a movie with an audience, where if there's 300 people in the audience and 10 of them laugh at something, that doesn't mean the audience is laughing at the movie. It means there are 10 people laughing at something on the screen. What percentage is that? That's 3% of the audience laughed at it. And for critics like Mick LaSalle to say, I don't, they don't get it, they don't understand what this movie is. It's like, dude, it's 300 people in an audience, and 10 of them are laughing, right? I mean,
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
what's the problem? It doesn't. You can't condemn the audience for those 10 people. It's not, if trust me, if 300 people were laughing at it, you would know. I mean, it would sound
yeah,
like this cacophony. But they hear a laugh, and it's like, oh, these people don't understand. And it's like, no, they do. Of course they do. And even if they laugh, it doesn't mean they don't appreciate it. It just means they find it humorous and they're laughing at it. Big deal.
yeah, and I think too, it's really interesting because like when we screened Eye of the Jury a couple of years ago for North City Christmas, it's Eye of the Jury, right? Yeah,
Yes.
and just that scene like where Mike Hammer is looking through the photographs of the two guys, and he does not understand that these men are in a gay relationship. And
Oh,
it
yeah.
was frigging hilarious. It was and that was intentional. I mean, that film really paints Mike Hammer's in a certain light,
Oh,
unlike,
yeah. Like a dunce. He's a
like,
dunce.
like the dumb brute he is,
Yeah.
and so, and that's a very different depiction of Hammer than you have in the other films, and it was great. I loved
Well,
it.
as you know, Anne, I'm sure you were there for the screening we had years ago of Desert Fury at the
No, I
Castro.
missed it. I
Oh,
still have not seen that
because
film.
that's like the litmus test. I
Yeah,
mean, you show that movie to a contemporary audience, and it blows the roof off, because now people are free to acknowledge the subtext in a lot of that movie, and they're just laughing, and if it rubs you the wrong way, it rubs you the wrong way. I would say that people who get upset that when they say, I don't like seeing movies with an audience because they don't understand the movie, I would say that's a case of just bad luck. You sat near someone that irritated you because they didn't react to the movie the way you want people to react to the movie. That's just bad luck that you sat near that person. Trust me, the majority of the people do not feel that way. And I feel okay speaking with some authority on this because I've been doing this for 26 years now, and I have seen a lot of audiences, and I sit in the audience with them, and they continue to surprise me. Like, last Saturday I showed The Crimson Canary, and seriously, 20 minutes into the movie, I'm like, was it wrong to book this? Because this is not a particularly good film. The audience loved it. They loved it.
yeah,
People were coming out going, thank you so much for programming that. It was delightful. It was, it wasn't hardcore noir, but it was really sweet and fun. And I had a great time. And like I said, when I introduced it's not the greatest movie I've shown here, but it is 64 minutes long. So if you
yeah.
if you can't
There you
deal with
go.
64 minutes, that's your problem. And and now that audience convinced me that I am going to book that film at every festival, at every Noir City around the country this
Yeah,
year, because it's got the only performance of Coleman Hawkins in a movie, and Oscar Pettigrew and Harold McGee, and the black band that play, and Josh White, for God's sakes, he does 2 numbers in the movie, all of which were dropped into the plot so that those numbers could be removed when the film was booked in the South, because they wouldn't
yeah,
stand for seeing these black musicians perform. So, I mean, that movie has great cultural and historical significance beyond just being a dopey, 64-minute B movie. Anyway, Brian from Universal, I got that one from Universal, and it was a fabulous print. Okay.
Cool. So do you want to do question 6?
Yeah, okay, here we go, Mike. And this one is this is your wheelhouse. This is your wheelhouse, Ann. Would love it if you touched on Darren McGavin's stellar work voicing Travis McGee and all the other characters on the audiobooks for the John MacDonald novels. Those audiobooks are sadly now long out of print and unavailable. Sorry. He was by far the best narrator that has ever appeared on audiobooks for those novels. I'd love a discussion or mention. Oh, that's number one. There are 2 questions. Mike snuck 2 questions. Have you heard any of this Darren McGavin?
No, but
Travis
as soon
McGee
as
stuff?
we got this question, and I was like, I have to find these. I'm going to see maybe someone threw them up on archive.org or something. So I'll because I really want to hear them now, because I'd
Likewise.
love to hear him doing an audio book.
John
And
MacDonald. John MacDonald is probably the most forgotten major mystery novelist in America.
yeah,
Those Travis McGee books were really, really good.
yeah, they are good books. And it is kind of weird to think of that, because he's just such a, I mean, these are really big books, so it's just kind of funny that,
And a lot of his stuff did sell to the movies.
yeah,
Cape Fear is a John MacDonald standalone. It's not a Travis McGee book, but yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to having time to go back and revisit a few of those. Just read a couple of those Travis McGee novels again, because I remember really digging them. They got Florida the way Chandler got LA.
yeah.
It was yeah. So anyway, okay. Now, Mike's second question is, I'd love a discussion or mention of the Dick Powell noir To the Ends of the Earth from 1948. Saw this at one of your festivals in Los Angeles many years ago and loved it. Have been waiting for a good home video release ever since. Is there any update on when this will ever get released on Blu-ray? Have you? I don't know. I know that it's a Columbia picture, which is kind of interesting, because I don't think Dick Powell did a lot of movies for Columbia, but that was a Columbia picture. And we showed it as part of the festival, although I don't really think of it as a film noir. It's like have you seen this movie?
What is it?
It's a drug thing. Dick
Oh
Powell
no, I haven't
is like
seen
a
that. I don't
treasury
remember that.
agent who goes around the world investigating this opium smuggling
No, I haven't seen it.
ring. So I mean, the film is notable because it directly addresses the drug trade, and there weren't a lot of movies at the time that did that. I think Port of New York and To the Ends of the Earth are like the only 2 movies at that late 40s. Well, and Johnny Stoolpigeon a little bit got into drug trafficking a little bit, but it's Robert Stevenson as the director, who is not, he's good, but he's not memorable. And so I don't have any inside information on that, but I don't really consider it to be a film noir. It's because what makes a movie like T-Men film noir is clearly the way it's directed and photographed. If T-Men was done in a flat, boring style, I might be hard pressed to call that like a great film noir. But because of Anthony Mann and John Alton, that has a noir style just all over it. It's incredible. To the Ends of the Earth, less so. So I tend to think of it more like a, international intrigue kind of thing, with Dick Powell trying to crack this opium ring. It's like not as noir as like Cornered, which is another Dick Powell international crime thriller kind of thing. But it's certainly not a bad movie. It's a pretty good movie. But I wish I could tell you, Mike, that I knew what was happening and if Columbia was ever going to release it. But Um, I would expect if anybody's going to do it, it's going to be Kino. I mean, that seems like it'd be right in their wheelhouse, maybe as part of another film noir set or something.
And what's the name? What's the name of the film where Dick Powell is the dog? He's a
Is
dog. He's been reincarnated into a person to solve a crime. He's like he's like a
Who's
German
it?
he's like a German Shepherd at
Yes,
the
no,
beginning of
no,
the
no. Now,
film.
now it's coming back to me. Yeah,
Yeah,
I know what you're talking about. And man, and I cannot remember.
I cannot remember. That is a great film
Uh,
though, but it is kind of weird because it's sort of like this. Obviously, this sort of fantasy element to it, but it's actually kind of a film noir. I mean, he's basically the detective
okay,
solving the
I'm gonna
crime.
look that one up because
Okay.
I want to do a thing on TCM that's all films with featuring animals
Oh yeah, you should definitely
as
put that one in
as
there.
like the protagonists and things. So um I'll look that one up. I
Yeah,
cannot remember right now. I know I know I've seen it,
yeah,
at least part of it, but I cannot remember the title.
yeah. It's a
Okay.
really fun film.
Um
Okay, and then let's see.
you're reading this
I'm
one.
reading this one. So I agree with you that The Big Sleep ain't no noir, though I think it is close. The one aspect that bothers me is the clunky scenes in and around Art
Art
Tuck's garage.
Art Tuck. Yeah.
The film also carries so many great scenes dripping with atmosphere. Do you agree? And how could The Big Sleep have taken a different path to Nor glory? Could it have been the end of Chandler's book that makes a star out of Carmen Sternwood. Bonnie from Cave Creek, Arizona.
Okay. I don't quite understand the last part. Could it
So, what do you think they could have done with The Big Sleep to
okay.
have made it like a true
Well,
noir?
not much because and here's the thing. When I say that I don't think The Big Sleep is truly a noir film, I'm not discounting the very noirish elements in the movie. I mean, the look of the film is fantastic. Uh, what I'm saying is it rankles me when people put it on a list of like the greatest noirs because I just don't think it represents what noir truly is.
Yeah,
I think it's a great director deciding I'm going to make one of those myself, but because Howard Hawks is one of the genuine examples of a director who never wrote a freaking word, who was an auteur, was a genuine auteur, because there are Howard Hawks films. They all have something in common. They all have a uniform approach and style and point of view. Uh, and he brought all of that to The Big Sleep. And Howard Hawks is not a defeatist. He's not a pessimist. He's not a nihilist. He's none of those
yeah,
things that you associate with film noir. So you know that it's all in Hawks's hands. That's all just window dressing.
yeah,
You know that Humphrey Bogart is going to come out okay. The crime is going to be solved. He's going to get the girl. It's all obvious, just like it is in To Have and Have Not.
yeah,
You know, so you look at To Have and Have Not by Howard Hawks. It's all, and you look at The Breaking Point by Michael Curtiz.
yeah,
It's the same source material. Which one is truly the noir film? Right?
yeah.
It's The Breaking
Good
Point,
point. Yeah,
and and that's all. I mean, of course, The Big Sleep looks like film noir. For God's sakes, it's Bogart in that fedora and trench coat in the rain in Los Angeles, and the art direction is just spectacular. Everything about that movie just looks and feels great, but just the heart of it is not a noir heart. It's like
yeah,
everything's going to turn out okay at the end. That's just the way it is. So that's what I mean. So nothing could be changed, and to make that film more of a noir, not if Howard Hawks is directing it, and really detective stories featuring the same guy over and over again are not really very noir because you know they're not going to die. You know there's no
Mhm.
real threat to the protagonist, and you know, and that's in a sense very true to Raymond Chandler, who said, you know, my guy, he's a white knight, you know, he's writing things, you know. Philip Marlowe is not like Jeff Bailey in Out of the Past or something, who, you know, who is a noir character. You know, he succumbs to the wiles of the woman and all that stuff. You know, Marlowe isn't really like that. So
Yeah, which I thought was good that they, I mean, and I think that that's why Elliot Gould really works as Marlowe, you know, and he was just the last person on earth. Like, if you were just like, oh, who should play Marlowe in a 1970s update, you know, the Altman film, who he cast is not who you would have like picked out of your hat. But I think he really captures the character
well,
because he's
he's
not like a tough guy, right? I mean, he really feels really true to the character.
you know what, Anne, it took me a really long time to realize that, because you know I was when The Long Goodbye came out, I was just getting into this stuff, and of course, you know, as an adolescent, you embrace that whole male thing of, you know, the righteous guy who's gonna stand up to all these bad dudes and do the right thing and all that, you know, and yeah, I and it's a fantasy. It's a male fantasy. And when I saw Elliot Gould play the part, it was like, I don't get this at all. You know, this isn't Bogart. This isn't Robert Mitchum, this, you know. But now I totally get it. It was just like, if if you tried to be Philip Marlowe in 1970s Los Angeles, this is the way you're going to go about it, right? So it wasn't so much that Gould was playing the Philip Marlowe from the books as much as Altman was saying, I'm taking that image from, you know, mid 20th century and saying, if you really want that in 1970, this is what it's going to look like.
Yeah,
And then I understood it. And it was like, yeah, Elliot Gould was kind of perfect,
he was. I mean,
you
like, it's,
know,
yeah.
and interesting because as a private eye, he is not representing the law or the establishment or anything. He's just a dude for hire to solve your problems.
Yeah.
And other than that, he's like, it's okay with me. You know, whatever, it's all okay with me. Just leave me alone, pay me my money. I want to just go on my way. I mean, that he was great.
Oh. And he had a cat.
I just pissed off all the hardcore Chandler purists who were like, oh my God, that was a disgrace that they let that guy play Philip Marlowe. Oh, well.
Well, it's really funny because I'm not particularly, uh, I'm not a big Altman fan, but I really love that movie. I
Yeah,
just,
that's a great movie. And
it's
I
a great
gotta,
film.
and I have to say, I really, I had a very, uh, a wonderfully emotional reaction to watching Kansas City in the theater. I had not seen it in a theater. I'd only seen it on, you know, on VHS years ago. Much better movie than people give it credit for. I mean, it's and anyway, that's all.
Okay.
Just wanted to say, if you haven't watched Kansas City, I give it a try, and
Yeah.
go easy on Jennifer Jason Leigh. A lot of people hate her performance in that movie. I actually kind of teared up at the end of the film, and uh, I really got a lot out of her performance this time around.
All right.
That's all I'm going to say. Okay. Am I reading this one?
Yes, you're reading question 8.
Okay, this is from Bob. Some of my favorite film noirs, or films noir, because he took the time to spell it properly, are the smaller, tighter films, the ones that take place in a specific place or a specific time frame. I'm talking about films like Cause for Alarm, The Steel Trap, and The Narrow Margin. What are some of your favorites? And then he says, "P.S. We need you to come to Noir City, Boston in the future." Well, I used to do that, Bob, and we'll see about that. Okay, he picked 3 interesting films for specific place or a specific time frame. I think he's meaning films that are confined.
Yes.
Right? Like Cause for Alarm takes place all in that house, in Loretta Young's house. But The Steel Trap is not a particularly confined film because they're running all over the place, right? They're trying
But
to
they
get
have that deadline. The Steel Trap was like one of the most stressful films I've ever seen. I love that movie.
It's great. I mean, it's
It's
a
great.
fantastic film. Yeah. I
Because,
yes, and The Narrow Margin, of course, is a Cannes movie because it's all
yeah.
set on the train. Okay. I'm trying to think of
Because The Steel Trap would have been one of my picks. I can tell you that
okay,
right
I'm just gonna
now.
say
Yeah.
The Threat. Felix
Wait,
Feist's The Threat with Charles McGraw and Virginia Gray, where most of the film is just everybody trapped in a shack out in the desert.
that's a great film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In terms of films that are confined to a single space, that's a really good one. The Threat from 1949. I'm trying to think if there's another one. I'm tempted. One that fits the bill that I don't like is The Dark Past, right? With William Holden and Lee J. Cobb and Nina Folk, where
Oh yeah, yeah.
it's just not a particularly good movie. I don't like the script. And it's also Blind Alley from 1939. It's the same movie, right?
Yes.
The same
Same
basic
movie,
story
yeah.
about a psychotic crook holding a bunch of people hostage in a cabin. So any of those, I mean, obviously Petrified Forest and stuff like that
Yeah.
qualify. Uh, but I off the top of my head, I can't really think of too many others. Partly because Bob's the Steel Trap kind of, to me, that's not a confined film as much as it's a high stress film because of the deadline.
Yeah.
And those are different, right? If you're talking about deadline films, then you're talking about Phantom Lady and Deadline at Dawn, all those Cornell Woolrich movies where
Yeah.
it's like
Black Angel.
Black Angel, I wouldn't be in your shoes. It's like this guy's going to be executed if we don't find out who the actual killer is. That, to me, that's different than a film that's confined to a specific place. So I and in some ways that film I mentioned earlier, the Ara or El Ara, is kind of like that because it's very, very claustrophobic, in that you're sort of trapped with Ricardo Darin in this situation. Uh, it it changes locations, but you feel like you're suffocating almost in the movie. Um, okay, I mean, any others come to mind for you?
Bad Day at Black Rock.
Oh yeah,
Which is
that's a good,
ironic, right? Because it's in this wide open space in one sense,
brilliant.
but is incredibly confined because he's
Yes, brilliant
stuck in this little
observation.
town.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. No, that's fantastic. Yeah, that big opening with the train coming in and the wide screen and everything, and then it's like so confined in this vast open space. Brilliant, great choice, Anne. Great choice.
Okay.
Okay, you go.
So this is I recently saw the 19 oh hold on. Okay. I recently saw 1949's The Bride with Robert Taylor in the lead. He couldn't muster a believable emotion. I mean, none. Why did the major studios even think this guy should be in movies? This movie had real potential, and this guy singularly sunk it. And then I had a follow up response to this email. I rewatched the movie, and now I think I was just a bit too hard on Taylor.
Sunk it.
Still, this is from Steve. Still, I would like to know if you or Anne have any favorite Robert Taylor roles.
Oh man, my
I love him
mom.
in. Yeah, go ahead.
Go, no, you go.
I love him in Party Girl. I
Yeah,
love
me
that
too.
performance.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
Party Girl is by far Robert Taylor's best performance.
yeah.
Um, Not a film to everyone's taste, but he's great because he's so seedy. he's coming apart at the seams in that movie, you know, and he's got that little mustache, and he's really, really good in that film. And he's, you know, you have to accept that I would have loved to have seen somebody else in High Wall,
Yeah.
Curtis Bernhardt's High Wall, but he's not bad. You know, he's not bad in the film. It's just I would have given anything to see John Garfield or somebody like that in the movie instead of, or even like Van Heflin or someone uh, would have been better than Robert Taylor. But the answer to the question as to why was this guy in these movies, Anne answered that earlier because she rewound the film to watch him over and over again because she couldn't believe how handsome he was, you know.
Yeah.
I was going to say my mother will come out of her grave to throttle Steve here because she was a huge Robert Taylor fan. She just loved him. Oh my God, Robert Taylor. He's
Yeah.
so handsome. And he had that weird kind of stilted voice that I don't know. It just
Yeah.
I don't quite I never got it either.
Yeah.
But
I
you
think
know,
that I just kind of wish they had him do more comedy because he was on the Jack Benny radio program multiple times and was really great. He even guest hosted for Jack when Jack was sick, and he was really great. And then also, there's a film he did where like he's in love with Joan Crawford, but she's like seeing this married man, and he kind of manipulates things so that the two of them wind up like at this guy's house with his wife. And the thing about it is, so Greer Garson is the wife, and Robert Taylor and Greer Garson just develop like this real kind of kinship, you know? And you're just like kind of wishing that they would have gone off together at the end instead of sort of the respective people going back to their, you know, to the person they're supposed to
right,
be with,
right.
because God, he and her, they had great chemistry. I was like, that was a mistake they didn't get to do more stuff together. And yeah, and it's with Joan Crawford, and I can't remember the name of it. But anyway,
Well,
but
he was
yeah, I just
he
think they should have had him do more comedy because I think that would have been, I think he could have done a lot in comedy, kind of
well,
playing in that. Yeah.
well, I'll tell you one thing. If I could have been a fly on the wall anywhere in Hollywood, I probably would have picked At Home with Robert Taylor and Barbara Stanwyck.
Yeah.
I would like to have seen what was really going on. And, you know, because he was also not particularly good to her in terms
Yeah.
of his faithfulness,
Yeah.
uh, affairs with both Lana Turner and Ava Gardner.
Yeah.
You may say, understandable, but
Nope. Not if Barbara
no,
Stanwyck's waiting at home. Are you out of your
no,
damn
no,
mind?
no, but
And
I
not
but
at all because I don't support that kind of behavior in the first place. A and B.
right.
Barbara Stanwyck, really? What the fuck? I'm sorry.
Oh,
What
sorry.
else do you want?
Push the button there, Fran. But it's interesting because I would love to have heard their political conversations because, of course,
Hmm.
Robert Taylor was arch conservative and,
Yeah.
testified before HUAC and was happy to throw numerous people under the bus.
Yeah.
Uh, and, Stanwyck was a Republican and was very, very conservative. But it's interesting that she never really she didn't testify, she didn't do any of that stuff. And I'm just curious, like if she, I would always love to know how steadfast she was in her politics, because I had the impression that it was just like whatever it takes to just keep working. So all I want to do is work. Just don't stop me from working.
Yeah.
And
I
anybody
mean,
that tries to stand in the way of my making movies, it's like, get out of my way. I'm working here, and everybody loved her. She
yeah.
was like the most beloved actress in Hollywood just for her professionalism.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of curious as to how much of her politics was for real and how much of her politics she absorbed from Robert Taylor
Yeah.
and was like going along with him because you had to take a stand one way or the other. And then if she took all these stands for following his lead, and then he cheats on her with Lana Turner and Ava Gardner and who knows how many other people, like wow, what does all that amount to? You know, yeah. I mean, we're talking about Robert Taylor as an actor here. We're not talking about
Yes,
Robert
not as a
as a
person. No, I did not
person
like
because
him.
I'm
Yeah.
not particularly fond of him as a person.
No,
But
neither
I'm
am
just
I.
talking about how he comes off on screen. You know,
Yeah.
I am able to separate the two. You know, I don't know that I would do it if it was happening right now.
Yeah.
But in hindsight, it's like, yeah, he was good at some stuff and not so hot at others. But
Yeah.
Party Girl is our
That's
we're
our
unanimous about that. That's the one.
yes, absolutely.
Okay, so am I reading the last one?
You are. This
Okay,
is
very good. And rightfully so. I just glanced at it and said, "Oh, okay, this one's obviously for me."
this is that's for you.
Yeah, and this is our buddy Michael from Post Falls, Idaho, who says, "I own a copy of a pictorial history of boxing, co-authored by Nat Fleischer, the founder of Ring Magazine, who the New York Times called Mr. Boxing in his obituary. Since Eddie's father was Mr. Boxing, I should. It's funny. I so want to pull down this placard I have up here on my bookshelf that they put on the news racks, you know, as to promote selling the newspapers. And it's a
Yeah.
picture of my dad, and it says Eddie Muller is Mr. Boxing in the San Francisco Examiner. You know, since Eddie's father was Mr. Boxing of the West Coast and was a contemporary of Fleischer, would they ever have met or known each other? Um, I honestly don't know I know that they knew of each other. But I don't know if they ever actually knew each other. My dad didn't travel that much. I mean, I know he went to the East Coast for the Joe Louis Billy Conn fight for the I think both of them. I forget where the anyway, uh, and he had all of Nat Fleischer's ring record books. I don't know about pictorial history of boxing, but up there on the shelves behind me over here are several Nat Fleischer uh, Ring magazine record books, and my that I inherited from my dad. I mean, they put one out like every year to update all the records of boxers, and those were extraordinary books. And I probably have 20 of them. So yeah, they knew of each other, but they were certainly not friends or correspondents or anything. I've never come across a letter from Nat Fleischer in my dad's correspondence, which I still have. I've retained all of it. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do with it. When I'm gone, it's gone, but I keep it all. Anyway, so thank you for that last question, Michael. Okay, and
Yes.
this was a long one tonight, but it was
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
These were really good questions, and I hope we gave some sensible, entertaining answers.
Yes.
What's up next?
What's
I am
North City, Seattle.
Noir City, Seattle. Okay.
Yes. This is going to
Uh,
air on February 5th. This episode is airing on
okay,
February
February.
5th. So
I
it's
will
after
have.
you're in New York with TCM. So
Okay.
your next thing, as far as I know, is North City, Seattle.
Yes, I will have introduced Sweet Smell of Success with Rosie Perez, and I will have recorded stuff for Noir Alley with Rosie.
Oh, cool.
She's going to
All right.
introduce two movies with me on Noir Alley, and she is a fan. She is a big noir fan. And then yeah, then it's on to Seattle for that, which is the 13th of February to whenever, to the ends of the earth. I will be
19th.
there 13, 14, and 15. I will be there hosting. Vince Keenan, right? The former
Yes.
editor of the Noir City magazine, will be introducing the shows the rest of the way. And it should be fun. Seattle has always been very, very supportive of the festival. And we had some quality control issues last year at the festival that I hope we have worked out this time around. So come out and find out for yourself.
Yeah. And my sister will be going for at least the first part of the festival because later she's going down to Sugarland at the end of it. But yeah, so I told her she has to go see Black Angel. It's like I just
Great.
told
And
her
please tell her to say hello. I would love to meet her.
I will tell her that. Yeah.
Great, great,
Yeah.
great, great. And of course, Seattle is where we met
Yes, originally. That is true.
at the Seattle Art Museum when Greg Olson was doing his film noir series at the Seattle Art Museum.
No, we
That's
met.
not where we met.
No, we met at SIF when you presented films because when I worked at Scarecrow, I could never get that night off because
Oh,
I was low man on the totem pole. So other people got to, because it was on Thursday nights, and so I always had to work Thursday. I never was able to get it off because people like Sean Axmaker at
yes.
seniority would get to go to that.
Oh,
So
wow,
I don't
that's
think
funny.
we ever. I think the only thing I managed to get to see there was the Alice Faye film.
What was the venue when we for that? Was that when we were at McCaw Hall?
I can't remember, but you presented two films for SIF. You did a Noir City night basically and showed two films.
Huh.
Yeah.
I wonder. Oh man.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know the
Yeah.
details, but I'm glad it happened.
Me too. It all worked out in the end.
It all worked out in the end. Okay, fabulous. And you know what? Emily was totally calm and collected. She's over there just sound asleep. So
yeah, I was a little worried with the beginning.
The biting was an aberration.
She calmed back down and stuff.
Yes.
She was just really happy to see me today when I got home for some reason. She was like, I missed you. It's like, okay,
What
great.
do you mean for some reason? Everybody would be happy to see you.
There you go.
Okay, so this was great fun, and I'll be back. Maybe we can sneak one in when I return from New York and before I go to Seattle. Maybe we can fit one in.
That'd be cool. Yeah,
I'm back on the 4th of February and not going to Seattle till the 12th. So let's.
Yeah, we should get one recorded and then while you're around. That's a good idea.
Okay, beautiful.
Okay.
And as usual, we thank everybody for joining us and for their enthusiasm and participation, and ask more questions. These were really good questions tonight.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Bye.